Oh my goodness, year 4. You can tell, look at my hair. I've been pulling my hair out. I'm trying to record this video just so I can show you the spread of the Roman Empire, and it's not working very well. But that's okay. You know what? It's going to be fine. I'm going to try one more time and hopefully it'll work. So, this is a PowerPoint. It's about the spread of the Roman Empire. Now, I didn't make these maps, just to let you know. I borrowed them from a website called Twinkle, but that's okay. I don't think they'll mind. So, if you have a look at this world map and see if you can identify where Britain is, and see if you can, you really have to squint, it's quite a small map. See if you can figure out where London would be. Now, if we zoom in to Europe, we'll see a country that sticks out into the Mediterranean, juts out into the Mediterranean a bit like a boot, and that country is called Italy. And within that country, there's a city called Rome, which you can see here. It's on the west coast, and that's where the Roman Empire started. Now, just a quick explanation. When we're looking at a timeline for the Romans, you're going to see, well, you can see the timeline on the bottom here. It's a little bit confusing because it goes 800, 237, 133, 44, and then it jumps back up. But you'll see that after those numbers, the first set is BC, and then the last three say AD. And that's because on the Gregorian calendar, so the calendar we use, sometimes called the Western calendar, it's split into two eras. And because it was developed by monks, the two Christian monks, pardon me, the two eras are split into years before Jesus was born and years after Jesus was born. So BC is for sort of before Jesus, and AD is after. And I think I've told you before, AD doesn't mean after death, it means Anno Domini, so that year of our Lord. Now, sometimes people don't like to use AD, and you'll see that it's put as CE, which means current era. BC, you'll normally see it's BC, and that means before Jesus was born. Now, there are other types of timelines, and there are other calendars that aren't Gregorian or based around the life and death of Jesus. But when we look at the Romans, that's usually the timeline we're using. So the very first one was a long time ago, so 2020 plus 800, so it's a very long time ago, 800 years before Jesus was born. You can see that the land controlled by the Romans was just Rome, that small dot in the boot jutting out into the blue Mediterranean Sea. Then you can see land controlled by the Celtic tribes, which is dark green, and then other tribal land is all light green. When we start counting down to the year 0, so from 800 down to 237 BC, you can see that now what is modern day Italy and the islands in the Mediterranean that are controlled by the Romans. You can also see how much of the land in Europe, including Great Britain and Ireland, is now in control of Celtic tribes. When we jump back down towards the year 0, the year 133 BC, you can see how much of the Mediterranean area of the world, including some of northern Africa and some of Asia, what we now call Turkey, is in control by the Romans. When we do that last jump towards the year 0 in 44 BC, you can see that most of the land controlled by the Celts is now in control of the Romans, including all of modern-day France, most of what we call Spain today, and quite a lot of northern Africa. including where the Egyptians had settled and built pyramids along the Nile River. Now here's where we would have had the year 0, and we start counting up again. So it jumps from 44 BC, so let's say negative 44, past 0, up to 79, so the year 79 AD. And you can see that most of the land controlled by the Celtic tribes is now under control of the Romans. You can see that in Ireland, none of the area is controlled by the Romans, and also Scotland and bits of northern England are still in control of the Celts. By the year 117 AD, you can see that the land that was controlled by the Celts in Europe is no longer. It's all under Roman control. And all of what we now call England is under control of the Romans, up to what's now modern-day Scotland. Ireland is still in control of controlled by the Celts and Celtic tribes. When we get to the end of our timeline, I just want you to have a think. And if you've got access to an atlas or any other maps, you can have a look at where some of these cities are, where you've got the large pink dots in the land controlled by the Romans and large green dots in the areas controlled by the Celts, and see if you can find any cities that are still in existence today. Right, I'm hoping it works this time. If not, then I might just have to stop for the day before I lose my hair like Homer Simpson. All right, Year 4, I hope you enjoyed this, and I shall speak to you soon.